What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Streetpilots video. So in the last one, you saw us clean up this front end. We put the metal fork gaiters on. We put on the HD wheels, 60 spoke, fat spoke, super nice 18-inch rim. And now, before we wrap it up and toss the nacelle back on, we're going to toss on some Streetpilots fork blinkers. Now, this job is super easy. You wrap them around, you feed them through the back of your housing for your headlight, and you plug them in. However, my client here, she has the Moto Gadget bar end blinkers, so we're going to have to do some chopping and wiring. My lights are plug and play. These ones are not, and to make them work together, it's not plug and play. I have a full individual video on how to make this work together, but today we're going to do it in a quick and dirty way for your entertainment. So without further ado, let's get these puppies on. So the first thing we're going to do, just like in the previous time when we wired in the Moto Gadget in the series, we are going to pop off this ring around your headlight and get the headlight removed. So let's do that next. So the course I was just on in the military, it's called PLQ, Primary Leadership Qualification, for those of you who are not Canadian military. And it's basically a supervisor course. I've been in for about 10 years. And during this course, we had to do classes, and we had to do classes when we're the instructor and we teach. So in the military, this just kind of reminds me of just doing this course, and we do a method called EDI-EII. And what that stands for is that first I'm going to explain, then we'll demonstrate, and if you're watching, you're going to imitate. Then, to make sure that you solidify this information, I won't explain, and you're going to imitate, and then you just imitate with me just calling out the instruction, and then we're going to have some meaningful practice and a confirmation. So it's really funny that when I do these install videos, I kind of am using the EDI method of explaining and demonstrating, and hopefully you, the viewer on the other side, is imitating. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pop off this ring. I will now demonstrate. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the headlight. I will now demonstrate. And then usually, after you have demonstrated it, you would say, do this now. Now, with this all unplugged, we're going to find our older connectors to the Moto Gadgets. So there we are, bunch of wiring like last time. All in here. We have one side, and then right there, and then we have the other side right here. Let's see if I can pull these in a little bit deeper. Right. So now you have two ideas what you can do. There's going to be a joining split here, as you see from our last time we played this, with red going to blue and black going to brown. We can either make a new split and make an incision to work with our Streetpilots lights, or we can make a different option of just taking the previous connectors off and making a combined junction. Since I don't want to have multiple cuts, I think what I'm going to do for this time is that I am going to have just take off the previous junction, and then I am going to install the Streetpilots lights. By the way, for those of you who have seen my previous video, we now have a new generation. The new generation is easier to install, as now we have one light and the other light for each respective side, which are then will plug in into our control module, and then the control module will plug in into the lights. So if these were to be just plug and play, we would just plug them in into the module, and then the module directly into the lights. And then like the previous ones, we have to use the ground to make sure that everything is grounded so that the whole system works. So let me demonstrate. So now that you've taken off your headlight and everything's exposed, next step is going to make the cut as we have in the past. So basically what I did is I removed the previous connection, as now we have to make another connection with the Streetpilots fork blinkers. Now we're going to run a three-way connection. So what you're going to do is that on the new style Streetpilots lights, what we have now is we have a separate module connecting to the fork blinkers to make this an easier install. For the purposes of this, what you're going to do is you want to give power to the module before the module gives power to the lights. Otherwise, your Moto gadgets might act weirdly, as they're not intended to be sequential. So on the side of the module, what I did is that I cut and I stripped off our plug and play connectors off camera, which are right here. As you guys know, all the stuff we make is plug and play. However, when we have to work with non-plug and play stuff, we have to make amendments. Now, on ours, it's pretty simple. Black is ground and white is power. So now we have to make this three-way. So what's going to happen is that we need to make a connection between the brown from the Indian wiring to the black on the Moto gadget wiring to the black on the Streetpilots wiring, because so brown and black, black is all negative, and then white to the blue to the red, which is going to be a little bit of a rainbow, but that's all of our positive side circuits. And then we're going to interconnect them with my commonly advertised, basically marine style heat shrink with solder inside connectors. So camera may be there, maybe not, as this is going to be possibly a four-hand job to hold everything nice and snug and to ensure everything is connected. So we might do this off camera, but as you guys know, is that we need to connect all of these wires. Again, on one side it's going to be brown to black, and the other side is blue to white to red. And that way we're going to wire everything in conjunction, and we're going to make it all work together with the Moto gadget. So without further ado, I'll let the camera roll, may cut it, but we're going to wire this together. Like so. Pass it evenly, because remember there's other wires here and shit, I guess we don't want to melt other unnecessary stuff. Oh shit.
What?
So first you want to make the red ends cinch up, because they make it watertight, and they also make it kind of not snug on each other. So let's cinch up this over here. Nice. Put the wires together. Perfect. And now you go until the metal starts melting. And you'll see it splurge. You know it's about to start. Come over the top. There you go. And see the liquid now went?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. That's it. Done.
Done? I don't have
So
to
now
do this side a little bit more?
you can afterwards, but the water tightness is the little red stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that there is now
That's good. Mm-hmm.
soldered on. Soldered on. Perfect.
Okay.
Now, this is a question for you. As most of my customers are the same way about everything, but the question for you is, which way do you want your sequential? You want your sequential going out? You want it going in?
What did you have out?
I have out. I prefer going out. So if we look at,
it's like
going
out.
Yeah. So if we go look at this side here. So right now the way it is going to be, we wrap it around like so. Yeah. What's going to happen is if we go left, do you see it? So right now it's going in, right? So you want it like,
yes, yeah, that makes more sense.
perfect.
Yeah.
Too easy. One, confirming that it's all good. Ta 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 ta. Perfect. And then we're
How far back does it go?
all the way around. And then
it ends.
your nacelle is going to be there.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So there you go.
Okay. Can you straighten the matter then. Yeah, doesn't even matter.
Perfect.
Other than a cell.
Yes. So you're happy like this?
Yeah.
And do you want any adjustments?
No.
Okay, I can make adjustments.
Is there any, like,
There you go.
will they be the same on the side views?
We'll go look at the right side, and then go to our left side,
Oh, yeah. That goes all the way around.
and then go look at my side.
Oh, yeah, you're good. Okay. Yeah, we're good.
Perfect. And then, yeah.
That looks so good.
There you go.
Yes.
So now with the fork blinkers installed, we're just gonna tuck this disaster of a cell back together, re-plug in the headlight, and then reinstall. So headlight. Back in. Now that's our bottom. See if you have enough room for all these spicy new additions. That's why some Indians actually have a little pouch for extra wiring. I don't know what Indians have that. And I've ran into some clients and customers that have had those on the Scouts. Question is like, what version of the Scout? That I can't say for certain. But again, there you go. It's not me. Perfect. And that completes, oh, geez.
Nice.
Perfect. And that there completes the installation of the HD Wheels front wheel, the Coulthard Customs fork gaiters, the Streetpilots fork blinkers, and then the reinstall of the Amazon nacelle. Next order of business is going to be the intake, and then also we will be working on the 240 rear end. However, you are most likely going to see it beforehand. So ride safe and see you in the next one.